Testing 1, 2, 3. What's up? What's up? Getting ready to start the show. This is for TikTok people. And you know what? Let's get into it.
You think you know about relationships, but you're wrong. Listen, there's no magic bullet. I'm teaching life skills.
You sick? You need medicine. It don't always taste good, but it'll get you better. You need this medicine.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna always taste good, but this is what you need. Men and women, bottom line, we need to have the conversation. Your partner wants to give up control, but only if you know how to drive. This is about being the best you could ever be, whoever you are. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, LGBTQ, space alien. I'll save anybody. I don't care. I'll teach a hedgehog how to have a threesome.
What do you mean by that?
Look, you don't have to listen to me, but you're wrong.
Listen, I know I'm great. And I know you're thinking, Dante, there's no way I could be like you. But you could be me, you know why?
Because you know who I was? Before I was me, I was you.
Man score 202.
Better hear what I've got to say because you won't get it again.
I'm not an alpha male. I'm not a beta male either. I'm just a better man. Put your happiness first, because if you don't, they won't.
Yo. GYBB, get your balls back. WWDD, what would Dante do? Sexual Revolutions being podcasted, and I am excited. It's good to be here. We're actually live on TikTok as well. If y'all are on TikTok, we're also, if you get to a point where you can't hear the call-ins or the questions, feel free to check us out on YouTube, Man School 202, or Dante Nero on YouTube. I'm also on, today I'm on both YouTubes and Instagram, if you can't hear it. If you can't hear what you want to hear. What's up, TikTok? What's going on? It's good to be here. Happy Sunday, everybody. There's so much that I want to get into, stuff that's happened. Lot of one-on-one consultations that I've had, that I've done this week. If anybody needs a consultation, y'all know how to get me. It's DanteNero.com. Click on consult. For the TikTok people, if you're not, this is the first time I'm going on TikTok. I'm going live on TikTok on my phone while I'm on my whole studio setup. So the phone number is 929-269-4922, 929-269-4922. Any relationship questions or anything about attraction or what you want. Big shout out to Jace, my man Jace on TikTok. Thank you for the shout out. Loving that, man. How we doing in the chat? How we sound, y'all? If we sound, give me a down. Let me get a thumbs up if we sound good. If y'all can hear me good on TikTok, please give me a thumbs up, please. What's up? Angelo Woods, W.C. Reed, Donna Mudd, Eric, Ray, a bunch of people. Thank y'all. I'm glad if y'all can hear me. Let me just make sure if y'all hear me good in the chat. Okay, cool. So there's a few things I want to get into, and it's interesting because we had an interesting show last Sunday. It was interesting, and one of the things that a lot of stuff that we were talking about in terms of just there was a lot of like political talk and stuff, and that's not what I do here. I have my own political opinions, and if I'm challenged, I will definitely at least have a discussion with anybody who sees. Let me shout out to everybody who's in the chat on let's see, we got many faces in the building. Jabril Africa, Danny Boyle, Appa Hoop Jack, Owen, Robert Spindletree, Jabril, Joseph Thompson. You played yourself in the building. Indira Green, what's up, sweetness? And then TikTok, we got Bobby Miles and a bunch of folks on the TikTok. But one of the things that I say all the time is just that we need to understand one of the principles. Well, the principles that I expound all the time. I don't care how many times we're talking about, what's going on with relationships, and the three things that I expound overall is authenticity, credibility, and empathy. Tell the truth. Do what you say and say what you're going to do, and have the empathy to understand that other people are going through things that you haven't gone through. That is super important. I think for those who are new from TikTok, know that what I mean by that is if you practice those three principles, I don't think you could be a better human being. I don't think there's a way that you can be a better human being, because of the fact that human beings are flawed. And because they're flawed, we can't ever expect perfection from human beings, but we can expect how should I put it? We can expect people to do as good as they can. I don't expect people to be perfect. One of the things that I say all the time, perfection is what we pursue, even though perfection is unattainable, right? What I mean by that is as you move closer to perfection, it moves further away from you, because as you move closer to perfection, you see more flaws and you're never going to achieve perfection. But the pursuit of perfection still maintains the same. And one of the things that I was talking about is you have to tell the truth. In any relationship, this is one of the biggest problems. 99% of the dudes who I consult on a day-to-day basis. What's up, Frosty? What's up, Xavier? What's going on? 99% of the time, most guys are liars. Now, let me explain that for those who are on TikTok. I know the regulars who are here with me every week. I'm sorry if we got to go over this, but what I mean by this is that if you are 95% trustworthy, that is the definition of a liar or somebody who's untrustworthy. The only thing I would say is that I'm not saying that I expect people to be perfect or men to be perfect, but I still expect you to pursue perfect. Your intention has to be to tell the truth. Now, most guys, especially my fans in general, people who mess with me on a basic level, is they think lying means I'm trying to steal somebody's girl or I'm trying to steal some money. But there's two other lies that I think that people don't talk about nearly enough. And one of them is when you lie to somebody because you don't want to end up in a confrontation. Classic thing is, how do I look fat in this dress? Now, I'm not saying you have to be so honest that you destroy somebody's life, but I am saying you have to say, Look, I don't think that this dress flatters you. And being honest in the context of that is as important as everything else. The other lie that men tell all the time is lies that we tell when we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, right? So, we don't feel the same way, or there's something honestly that we feel, and we won't tell them the truth because we don't want to hurt their feelings. And understand this. What we have to understand is the basic premise of women in general. Trust is the single most attractive thing about a man. A fact that a man has character and credibility. And the thing is, what the thing that I think what makes this clear to me is that when you lie, if you're a liar, if your woman perceives, it's something I call the Judge Judy effect. If anybody, I might be dating myself, but the Judge Judy effect is if you ever watch Judge Judy, she's one of those court personalities. But if she catches you in the lie in the first 5 minutes of your case, then anything you say after that has no credibility. And I think that we have to understand that if once you lie, even when you're lying not to end up in an argument or not to end up in some kind of confrontation, or you're lying because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, what we don't understand is on a base level, right? On a base level, what's happening is she can't trust you. And if a woman can't trust you, when you tell her you love her, how is she going to believe you? If you tell your woman if you tell your woman, I got your back, how does she believe you if you're a liar? And that means to the extreme level of being honest, that you have to put your feet on the ground every day and pursue the truth and move with intent. Credibility meaning that you do what you say what you do, you show up when you say you're going to show up, you do what you're going to say. Now, you cannot say that you want to do. You don't have to lie about doing something that you don't want to do, but you do at the very least have to, when you give your word, you have to keep your word. Your word is the thing that you have to stand on. And there's a certain level of credibility. If you have an opinion, your opinion needs to be backed up in fact and in evidence. You need to be able to recite this. If you don't know what you're talking about, we need to stop being intellectually lazy, or where we don't have an intellectual curiosity. If somebody says something to you and you don't know, shut up. Stop having an opinion about something you don't know what you're talking about. You sound like an idiot, because this is the era of the fact that you're not going to get away with lying. We got these little cell phones that can tell you, that has the whole world. When I grew up, if you wanted to know something, you had to get up, get dressed, shower, go to the library and look it up. Literally, the world is in the palm of your hand. You can check and recheck anything that you believe. If you don't know how to spell a word, if you don't know something historical, if you don't know a law, if you don't know history, you can Google it. It's in the palm of your hand. And the fact that there's so many people, that have no problem just speaking without any evidence, where people are just yapping about something that they don't even know about, or they don't. And the other thing is, how about yapping about something that you don't even care about? You're not even in a position where you're talking about something you don't even care about. If you don't have that expertise, shut your mouth and listen, take it in. And if you're really interested in it, take a little time to do the research. Research it if it's that important to you. And if it's not important to you, just go, I don't know. How easy it to just say, I don't know, I'm not aware. Nobody expects you to know everything. Nobody can know everything. The more that I learn, the more books that I read, the more things that I come across, the more things that I research, I realize how much little I really do understand because of it. When you think of the vastness of information that is available to you compared to what you do know, humble yourself. Be the best version of yourself. One of the things is if you're trying to be in relationships and you're trying to get access to women and this, you got to be the best version of yourself. If you're not trying to be the best version of yourself, why are you selling a product that you don't even think is worthy? How crazy is that? If you're going to sell a used car, you shine it up, you clean it out, you clean the White Castle boxes out the back seat. You might even put extra oil in it so it doesn't cling, it doesn't knock. You might even spray it in. You want to present your product at the highest level, at the best that it's going to look, especially if you want somebody to buy. But if you're hitting the streets and you're not showering, or you're not shaving, or you're not dressing neat and clean, or just putting some effort in your style, how can you possibly hope that somebody would be interested in you when you don't even care about the product that you're trying to sell? And understand something: you are in the dating game. You are selling yourself. You are making an effort to be seen and to have somebody say, "Yeah, I'm interested in that." And if you're not going to do that, if you're honestly not going to do that, don't expect anybody to be excited about your product. You don't have to be rich. I think I've said this 100 times as well. Over and over and over again, we find that we're in a situation where men seem to think that money and cars and all of this, and I've said this 100 times, it didn't work for Diddy. Diddy had all of that. He had the cars, the jet planes, the Ferragamos, the Birkin bags, everything. And he still was so insecure that he had to hire people. He literally had to hire people to stalk his girlfriends, because deep inside he knew he was a piece of garbage. And he was afraid that the minute somebody walked around the corner, one of his girls turned the corner, she'd be smashing some other dude that he didn't know. So it's like, even in these situations, over and over again, we're seeing that money. And don't get me wrong, let's not be ridiculous. It's not that I don't understand that money and possessions and power, all of those things are aphrodisiacs. Women find those things attractive, but that's the bait that is the bait that gets the fish on the hook. It don't land the fish. It don't bring the fish on the boat. And even if it doesn't bring on the fish on the boat, if they're there just because of your possessions, then they don't like you. It's a situation where you want somebody to like your character, like who you are as a person. Money can provide certain things that certain things that you don't have, and access and resources and all of that. But at a base level, if your lady or your man can't trust you, you got nothing. You got nothing. I think that and Dyla, I don't know. Dyla said it's hard to. Let me put this comment up. He says it's hard to reconcile. Let me see. He says it's hard to reconcile not being the best possible version of yourself without being rich. That's just not true. That's 100% not true. What if that's not your endeavor? What if your endeavor is not riches? What if you want to live off the grid? What if you don't want to because it is more money, more problems. It's more responsibility. It's I personally, I always want my following to get bigger. I want to earn more money. I want to be able to give my son more. But the reality is, I don't want to be a conglomerate where I have people who work for me, who I'm responsible for their life. I don't want that. So if you understand this, the wider your scope and your reach of people, the more of the responsibility. And what's interesting is I just had a consultation with a guy, really good dude. He's doing really well, went through a divorce, and he's been consulting with me for a short period, not a short, but a couple months now. And was in a marriage where he was just a placeholder for his intended wife. And she was a doctor. She was like, I want you to move to another country. He moved to another country. He didn't speak the language. He quit his job. He moved with her. They got there. She was like, well, now that we're here, I want to have a kid by the time I'm 32. I want to have this. And he was like, well, just like we're getting there. But the point with her was she was in this place where whatever she did is supposed to happen right now. She's under the precious African sister who, a lot of times African women or just immigrant women in general, they have their parents put these expectations on them and put these expectations on them about how they see them. And if they're not, they're not what they perceive them to be. If they're not a doctor or they're not an engineer, sometimes they're perceived as somebody who is a failure. Let me understand this something. 90% of your parents sucked at it. They might have been good parents. Not saying that they didn't love you. I'm not saying that their intent wasn't that. But this idea of when you come from a survival mode where all you want to do is survive, you don't have the ability to perceive what true happiness is. And this is an interesting. This is an issue where you start to look at the fact that a lot of times we have parents who have failed in their own lives and then put the pressure on us to where they're living their life through you and through the perception of who you are, what you are, and if you're not a success, they're not a success. And so they're putting this pressure on you to be something that you don't even want to be. Most of the guys who I consult with on consultations is they haven't even decided what happiness looks like. Understand something. If you want to achieve something and move in a direction, right? If you want to perceive in a direction, understand something that you have to. It's like driving an Uber. You two things you need to get an Uber. You need your current location and you need your destination. Means that you need to know where you're at and have an honest, you have to have an honest assessment of where you are as a person right now and where you want to go. Without those two things, you can't get to your particular destination because you can't. An Uber is just not going. They can't pick you up if they don't know where you're at, and they can't take you where you want to go if you haven't given them a destination. And so they're just not. Nobody's going to get into an Uber and just float around on the map and say, "Well, just drive." That's just not. That doesn't get you anywhere. You have to understand what it is you want, and sometimes it takes time to achieve a certain level of confidence where you can say, well, okay, what are my options? What can I do? Where can I go? How can I get to where happiness is? And you decide. Here's the thing, I've had a lot of guys who do consultations with me. Again, if y'all want a consultation, go to DanteNero.com, click on consult. Don't forget, if anybody that doesn't, who's on TikTok, if you're listening on TikTok, I'm also on YouTube. So we do a call in. So if you want to call in, you could call in and hear the calls or whatever. I'm hoping you can hear it if y'all can hear me clear on TikTok as well. But there is a definite situation where you have to decide, you have to get enough confidence to understand that you are capable of achieving some level of happiness. That you can. It's just, I always say that the scariest thing and the greatest thing that I ever learned in my whole life is, number one, that I can pretty much do anything I want to do, right? Which is the greatest thing in the world. Just to understand that that people, places, and things don't have dominion over you. That if you're willing to make true sacrifice, right? You're willing to make true sacrifice, you can get to wherever you want to get to. You just got to be willing to make that sacrifice. And once we find out what that sacrifice is, then we make a decision whether we're willing to stick it out to make that work. But that's the first thing. The greatest thing I ever heard is that you can do whatever you want to do. When I actually understood that I could achieve what I wanted to achieve. Secondly, the scariest thing that I ever heard is that because I'm able to achieve whatever I want to achieve, any mistakes and any shortcomings that I have, those shortcomings are directly related to my inability to make sacrifice, my inability to work hard and move my life forward. So here's the problem. What's scary about that is I don't get to blame anybody. If I'm a loser in life, it's my fault. It's nobody else's fault but my own. And I got to be honest about that with myself, that these things are important. Hold on real quick. We got a call. Let me get this call. We'll see what's going on.
From Texas.
What's going on? Where you calling from? What's your name, bro?
How you doing, sir? My name is Pablo. I'm calling in from Texas, and I admire so much the work you've done over the years.
Man, thank you, Pablo. I appreciate you, bro. All the way from Texas. I don't know if we ever got a call from Texas, but how can I help you, brother?
Well, sir, I mean, it's more of a self-congratulation in a way, because I follow you and very few others. And
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm trying hard to keep the content positive and helpful. I mean, that's my goal. But go ahead. How can I help you?
Well, today, I have all these techniques, and they talk about not just following different channels and absorbing all this content, but not doing anything. But I just want to celebrate, because today I actually I took it and I did something with it.
Okay, what were the techniques? What techniques are you talking about?
Well, it's not so much the technique is, you absorb all this knowledge, but then it's nothing if you don't do anything.
Yeah,
with it,
but
so,
we're still talking about in what vein are you talking?
Well, it's as simple as just going up and introducing myself to a female.
Oh, okay, so you're talking about laying the 5 bricks. That's what you're talking about.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So today was the first day that you actually actively tried to do one of the things that I've been talking about for a while. And what did you find that to be the case?
Well, I noticed I was at Starbucks, and I just noticed this young lady looking at me from across the floor. And before, I would have just ignored that, and maybe taken a little, boost to my ego. But
right.
That day, I just walked over and I introduced myself, and I chatted her up a little bit, and I just, broke that seal.
Okay, what was your like? How did you feel about that? Just being in a situation where you could actually, do something about it.
I was a little nervous, but I was also mostly tired. I got to admit to you, Dante, I'm 34 years old. I feel like I'm a lot further behind than a lot of men my age, should be. But
I mean, first of all, let me say this: we get to where we get to when we get there, and I think if you got to understand that you have to. One of the things that I tell anybody who listens to me, first thing you got to do is you got to learn to forgive yourself, right? There's no situation that if I ask you, what situation would you be in that you have had no practice, no guidance, no trainer, no coach, and people would expect you to be an expert at?
Yeah, no, probably none.
Well, so I mean, even if you want, I use ping pong a lot of times. If you've never seen a ping pong table, and all of a sudden somebody gives you a pat and says, "Look, play ping pong," right? And then start screaming at you because you suck at it, even though do you understand how absurd that sounds?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
what I want you to understand is the first thing you have to do is forgive yourself, okay? Because you don't need this kind of negativity going through your head about the fact that you're going to fail, because everybody sucks at everything until they get good at it, right? So when you look at
Right.
somebody, an ice dancer like Christy Yamaguchi or somebody like that who's super famous, you understand that when they're 4 years old, when you're sleeping, they are on the ice. Their parents pay for them. They pay for private coaches and they pay for ice time. And these people are skating while you're sleeping. So I'm not taking anything away from them for doing that, but I'm just saying, how absurd is it for you to be to feel any kind of shame when we're talking about something that you've never been taught? I mean, did you have a father that was a player or just understood the game or whatever, or did uncle? Or I mean, most of us are just out there trying to figure it out, and it's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. To answer your question, I did have a father, thank God.
Yeah,
But
I'm not saying you had, but was he a guy who explained the stuff that I talk about on this content all the time?
No, he wasn't, and I didn't have a man to explain that to me in a very just lay out the facts of life for me.
So, but what I'm saying is, when you start to put this burden on yourself because you don't feel you're 35 years old and I'm not as long as I feel that somebody in my age should be, first thing you got to forgive yourself. You're feeling bad about something that you have no control over. It is absurd for you to kick yourself in the ass for something that you never was taught. It's just unfair, right? Secondly, even if you were taught it, if you didn't access it and practice it with a degree of consistency, you're not going to be good at it. So although I'm glad that you from listening to the content, you crossed that barrier and you allowed yourself to kind of talk to somebody that you wouldn't normally talk to, I still want to make it clear that you're gonna trust me. I'm glad that it went well, but you're going to suck at it. Do you understand what I mean? Like you don't have any practice. How could you be good at this unless you practice it? And unless you practice it with a fever on a daily basis, then that's the only way you're going to be good at it.
And to be honest with you, sir, it's once I get there, it's really not a problem. It's just overcoming that fear barrier to walk across the floor.
But you got to understand, the only way you overcome that fear is by doing it. And that's why I don't know if you're familiar with laying the whole idea of the process, the plan that I put guys through. If you ever really want me to help you with it, explain it to you, and mind it to you, and get you to where you need to be, you go to DanteNero.com and you can click on consult. I'll put it up on the screen so you can see. But what happens is going out and paying a compliment to a woman, 5 women a day every day, is what gets you over that fear. And until you do that, you're always going to have that anxiety. There's so much about the dynamics of just doing that. It's great when the girl is attracted to you because it's, she's already in. So any of the mistakes that you make, she's not gonna care because she's already into you. But when there's somebody who you're pursuing or somebody who is shy herself, you're going to fail because you haven't learned the dynamics to get past that. First thing you have to understand is, and I've said this is why the empathy part of ACE is so important, is because every woman who gives her number out, engages with a man, has to decide whether or not you are safe, that you won't harm her, you won't hurt her, you won't SA her. I mean, can you imagine that every time you went out on a date, you had to worry about whether or not somebody was going to grape you? Like, do you understand the type of tension that, like, it would be the same tension if you were in a federal prison, you know what I mean? And dudes was trying to take your hood, What I'm saying is this is something that women, I think a lot of guys who deal with, talk about the relationship stuff and whatnot, they talk about the relationship stuff, but they don't take that into consideration, that this is a constant fear. And so women have to be super intuitive about who you are, what you're saying, whether or not you're safe, whether you are safe or not, because it could mean, it could mean her life when it's in, and to just understand that when you approach, I mean, wouldn't that change the way that you approach if you thought about that every time that you approached a girl?
It's true. I think probably my mistake in the past was overthinking that, because I'm a very demure in quotes and timid man, and that was kind of more my erring on the side, too much of being cautious and
Right.
considerate and thinking of how she could be afraid.
I'm gonna
and
tell you
maybe
something. I'm gonna tell you something. Was your dad kind of a loud dude, or was he what kind of relationship did you have with your dad?
he was more reserved.
Okay, so he
Very
didn't
told
talk a lot.
No, he wasn't loud. I mean, he talked a lot to me.
Uh-huh. Was your mom loud, or who ruled the roost in your household?
No, that was definitely my dad.
Okay.
Definitely my dad.
So, I have to understand is one of the things about anytime I feel like what's up, Jay? One of the things that I think that you have to take into consideration, what I think is really important to take into consideration, is that you have to the way we communicate is the way that we did communicate. What I mean by that is a lot of times when I find that guys are really introverted and really timid and are always worried about overstepping their boundaries, it's because in their childhood they weren't allowed, they didn't feel like they could be heard, right? So you become introverted because you don't want the smoke of actually being heard, because what if you're heard and you have to deal with the responsibility of being heard. So you gotta lay the 5 bricks. If you want, you give me set up a call and I'll give you the basic fundamentals and you can start on that, because the only way that you're going to be proficient at doing anything is by practice. And you have to have a coach that you trust. You have to have somebody who's going to guide you and have a hands-on approach to guide you to where that you're much more where that you're just more proficient at socializing. Understand that you also have to communicate. One of the most important things of communicating with somebody of the opposite sex is it needs to be non-transactional. What I mean by non-transactional, it has to be a situation where she doesn't get the feeling that the only reason why you're talking to her is to smash. Right. That you have to go ahead.
That's all right. And I think I did that, like, for, at least in my mind, I walked over just thinking, this lady has been making eye contact with me. I'm just going to say hello.
Yeah, I get that. But what I want to say to you is, first of all, you found that this woman was attractive, right?
Yeah, I didn't get a good look at her. I thought she was like 40 years old. When I walked over, she was probably about 20.
All right, so she was but I found you found her attractive, yes?
She wasn't. I saw her out of the corner of my eye. I thought she was older. She wasn't ugly, for sure.
Okay, all right. So what I'm saying is, when you are talking to somebody and anytime you think that there is an outcome that could happen because of this interaction, right? You are always going to be, there's always fear that runs in your head. The first thing is, like what you said, the anxiety of walking across the floor just to confront her. The only way you get comfortable, this is because this was an issue for me as well. I know people don't believe that when I say it, but it was a time when I was just as afraid as all of y'all to walk across that floor. The only way that you get comfortable with walking across the floor and confronting that fear is by doing it. You got to do it. You got to do it when you're not interested. You got to, and that's why I tell people that I do the program of laying the 5 bricks every day, is just giving a girl a compliment and keeping it moving with no intention. You're not trying to get her number. You're not You're not maybe not attracted to her. You're just complimenting something on her that's non-sexual, so that you get comfortable with talking people. That is the most important thing to reduce the anxiety. And no matter how good you are as a person, how kind you are, how charming you are, when that kindness or that charmingness is confronted with fear, you cannot operate if you allow emotion to have a seat at the table. If you're afraid, if you have anxiety, you're never going to be as charming as you would be than when you're most comfortable. When you're comfortable with you.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, yeah, I've definitely noticed that. Like, it's basically the phenomena of like, you think of that funny thing to say after you walk away because you're no longer afraid.
Right.
I think you need to. It's just practice. Like, this is the first time where again, maybe I shouldn't be ashamed, but I am. That this is probably the first time in my life.
I need you. I need you to not be ashamed. I need you to forgive yourself. Okay. If you're going to pursue this journey, I need you to not be ashamed of the fact that you're not good at something that you never was taught. Like, even when I say that out loud, doesn't that sound ridiculous?
Right. And I'm writing that down right now.
But I mean, even in real time, doesn't that sound ridiculous that you would be ashamed of something that you were never taught?
I guess the shame is just that I feel like I should have made that happen.
But you did. You did. We have to be honest about this. If this is not you, look. If I said to you, "Hey, why can't you do brain surgery?" You would look at me like I'm crazy. You was like, "I didn't go to med school. I didn't even pursue this. My dad wasn't a surgeon. This is not what I pursued." You would look at me like I'm crazy. What I'm saying to you is two things that men are supposed to be good at, right? Is relationships and sex. And it's really absurd to expect yourself to be good at something that you don't have no practice. Isn't that fair? I mean, isn't that just logical when you think about that?
Sure.
Now, for you to be kicking yourself, it's for you to be kicking yourself because of the fact that you haven't learned this, right? Do you understand how absurd that is?
No, the logic of it is indisputable. It's just, I feel bad because most people my age have figured it out.
I don't care. I don't care, and I guarantee you there are people who are older than you on this call right now, on this live right now, that are afraid to do what you did.
No, and I've heard him. I believe you.
So you got to take the win and stay and deal with what's in front of you instead of what's in the past. You cannot change what the past is. I say this all the time. The greatest thing in the world about being a sucker is that tomorrow you don't have to be. That goes for being a simp. That goes being a liar. That goes about being a dirtbag. You can change that behavior today. So whatever you're afraid of, and keep in mind, like I said, book a session, man, and I'll get you on track. Because even though I'm giving you the logical argument for why your perspective on this is ridiculous, you still keep going back to the same thing, which goes to something that I talk about all the time, is never let emotion have a seat at the table.
And then I definitely focus too much on the past as well. Like maybe you picked up on that already.
Well, regret is emotion, is it not? Regret and shame is an emotion, yes?
A shame, yeah, probably the shame that comes from regret, yeah.
So what I'm saying is none of those things are allowed. None of those things help you pursue the level of proficiency or what you perceive your happiness in. Nothing else. None of that helps you achieve those things. And we need to eliminate those things as quickly and as often as possible, bro. I appreciate you calling in, man. Thanks for being so honest and so candid about your insecurities. I think this is so important because there's somebody listening who's older than you and less and more afraid than you. And just to hear, I think that's the great thing about the content that I put out, is that it really gives people an opportunity to see that they're not alone, that this fear and this inability to pursue their happiness is something that we all struggle with.
And sir, if I may say, before we disconnect, I never talked to a woman in person before, and I never called into one of these shows before.
Then I want to say, without a doubt, I appreciate you. Thanks for making it my call.
All right,
brother.
Thanks for the sound effects. I appreciate you so much.
Keep listening, bro. Book a session. We'll get you right. It's an easy fix, man. It's really an easy fix.
All right, man.
All right.
Look for me on your list.
I will, brother. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
What's going on, TikTok? We're in the building. We got a bunch of motherfuckers at TikTok. Thank y'all for tuning in, the TikTok people. I appreciate y'all, and I don't really do this long. I'm trying to include all my TikTok fans as well. But it's an important thing. Let's see what's going on in the comments. The phone lines are open, 929-269-4922. Appreciate y'all calling in. I saw something. He's not behind. Dylar says, is it Dylar or Dylar? I'm hoping it's Dylar. I hope I pronounced it right. I hope I pronounced it. He says, he's not behind. I'm 32 and I'm here listening. Thank you, brother. I mean, and I think that's what's dope about this. I mean, y'all guys are super supportive of each other. And it's really, really important that you understand that you're not alone, man. And we all have these problems. And it's funny because I guess guys who will not think that I went through the same thing. I mean, this is how I came. I came to putting this content out. I wanted to, Indira, shout out to Indira Green. And now she says, I'm still grading myself as a parent. Yeah, I mean, Indira, it's a weird thing when you see, I don't know, Indira, I don't know if you have a son or not, but it's so important because you see how all these dudes who are calling in, they're uncomfortable because their parents made them uncomfortable. It's a horrible thing. What's your name? Where you calling from, bro?
Yo, it's Dante calling from Phoenix. We had a session a couple weeks ago.
What's your name?
Dante.
Oh, that's dope. I remember. What's going on, Dante? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Listen, I came up on a situation. It's more like, I'm hoping somebody out there can kind of feel this.
If you mean by somebody, you mean me? Yeah, I can feel it. Let's go.
All right. So, how do we as men overcome sort of the stereotype of what is considered now an alpha male because of like the brosphere?
Okay,
like,
that's the first.
Trump has never been an alpha male to me.
No,
like, there's nothing alpha about to do.
I don't know. It's because he does bitch ass stuff, but that's neither here. What I want to talk about, I don't want to get into the politics of it. But if you understand the principles and ACE on authenticity, credibility, and empathy, understand something. Alpha male is a pseudo confidence about something that you don't really believe. What I mean by that is over and over and over again, we will find guys who will be extra aggressive, extra masculine. Anytime you see somebody who is extra, doing what we would call doing too much, right? It is a definite clue to the fact that they are insecure. Nobody who believes what they believe is trying to convince people around them who they are or who they're not. You know what I mean? So this idea of alpha male, it's funny because I was watching this panel. If y'all can check it out on YouTube, there's this panel with Fresh and Fit where the guy Wes Watson, who's supposed to, he's screaming at dudes and telling them,
I can't stand that guy. Yeah.
well, you got to see there's a guy who this guy Andrew, who's I watch him a lot on debates, a smart dude. I don't agree with everything because he's super conservative and religious, but he goes, if you don't have a Lamborghini and you don't have the hottest broad and you're not at the beach with your shirt off, then you're a pussy and you got tits. And Andrew says, I don't perceive success as that. He says, I perceive success as me having a family and my family counting on me and that I can provide for them. And my son and my daughter love me and they live an ethical life. And so what's interesting about this guy who literally Wes Watson could rip his head off, stood up to him and says, but you're a clown. So when you watch this alpha male expression, right?
Yeah.
What you're watching is insecurity in the opposite direction. Some people get insecure and they become more introverted. Some people get insecure and they overdo it because look at me. It's just like a dude who's afraid to come out as gay, right? So he hates LGBT above anybody else. Meantime, he's in the truck stop tapping feet and behind the glory hole on the low. But this is an expression. This is all an expression of a lack of dishonesty, a level of dishonesty that he's uncomfortable with. So it needs to appear as something that he's not. You want to watch something? I just watched an interview. I would recommend anybody to watch an interview. You into MMA at all?
No, not really.
Okay, but do you know Bones Jones?
I do.
Okay, so watch Bones Jones talk about who he wants to challenge. He goes like, this guy is beating everybody, right? And so he's literally like, I'm not interested in some young dude who's trying to make a name for him. He says, I'm trying to get a guy who is proven. I'll fight a guy who's proven and dangerous, and it advances my legacy. The point is that he's so confident. He's speaking his mind from an honest perspective. He's not triggered by somebody telling you, I'm gonna beat your ass, I'm gonna do this, because he's already proven himself to a degree that no other MMA guy has ever proven themselves before. So when you have the confidence, you don't respond to that. So I think what we have to do is define what masculinity looks like.
I know, absolutely. And, I called in because I know I have a homie who I was talking to earlier, and he's listening tonight. And we were talking about, because he's really into the whole pickup shit, right?
Yeah, it's trash. It's trash.
One of the pickup instructors, I guess, in London, who was friends of his, recently killed himself.
Oh,
and the point the point I tried to make to him is like, look, because you guys are performing. Like eventually at some point you're going to get to a point where that performance is old even to you and you don't have anything. Yeah. Because you haven't given anybody anything. You haven't given yourself.
You're not really, and you're not the guy that you're professing to be.
Yeah.
So what did he say? What did he say about your logic on that?
He said basically that he plans on getting, he says, I know what you're saying, but I need to get my body count where I want it to be.
It's going to make no difference. It's not going to make any difference.
And I was like, dude, I'm fucking 45 years old. I don't know how many chicks I've slept with. I know I've slept with a lot. I know I've slept with some bangers, but it's not the point. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the point is what's your value system?
If you get the right one, she'll crumble she'll rip your heart out of your chest and stomp on it. Like if your foundation is not strong, all of that is a false sense of security. I have a friend of mine, good friend of mine. He's 50, I want to say 56, right?
Yeah.
He's still putting numbers up on the board, right? If you ask me what his body count is, right? I would say his body count, if I had to estimate, like he used to strip with me back in the days, and we've been friends for like almost 40 years. His body count is probably somewhere around 3,500. Crazy, insane. And I still find him in relationships where some chick is punking him, or some chick is throwing his stuff out the house, or kicking him, even with those numbers. So you tell your boy, first of all, get him to listen. I don't know if is he with you now or no?
No. Well, he's not with me now, but he is listening. He did text me. He says, "I heard you."
Yeah.
And everything. So yeah.
So here's what
that's
you have to understand, that there is no number that's going to make you confident about what you are. The only thing that will make you confident about what you are, I don't want you to say his name, but just so he knows I'm talking to him. There's no number that is going to get you to the point where you're going to have that confidence. The thing that you got to turn off the background. I don't know if your radio is on or whatever. Turn the volume down and just listen to me direct. Okay. The one thing that is going to give him confidence comes from what you do, not who you are, not who not who you are perceived to be. It is what is really at the truth and the core. You can't fake this. So no matter what you're doing, and I use this analogy all the time, if you are listening to, if you're laying across your bed alone by yourself and the shadow from the ceiling fan is whipping across your face, you know if you ain't shit. And don't get me wrong, let me be clear. I'm not saying that pickup artist stuff doesn't work. Some of it is absolutely based in neurolinguistics programming. It's based in body language. It some guys deal with the idea of conversational hypnosis. All of these things are things that are reality. They're psychological elements. But the bottom line is, when all said and done, and you actually revert back to who you really are, when the woman sees you, the incongruency of who you have processed and said you are, and you're not, then you are a liar, right? Your inconsistency, a woman will read your inconsistency as dangerous, because you presented yourself as one thing, but you're really something else underneath it. And now she has to worry about, well, what is the thing that you were hiding? What's the thing that makes you not feel that you're honest? I said this 100 times. If you're a 5-foot guy and you're on those apps and you put 5'6", you're putting 5'6" because you think if I was only 2 inches taller, then I would be good enough. You're lying because you don't think that you're worthy. And how does a woman understand what you think and what you feel? You tell her. When you meet her, you tell her who you are. You tell her who you are by the tone of your voice, by the cadence of your voice, by your body language, by who you say you are. And women, nobody reads men better than women. They have more practice than anybody else. So the inconsistent, and here's the crazy thing that's weird about, that I think is dangerous about pickup, is because what you find is, after the Me Too movement, right, when men didn't have this free reign to, trick a woman and gotcha, bitch, like now, you could have a situation where you have misled a woman, and then she can go home, right, act like everything was okay, and then say, I felt uncomfortable about this, right? This was awkward. He took advantage of me. And the only reason why she would say, I took advantage, is because you were dishonest. So there are a lot of pickup artist guys who are actually getting the business. Why? Because because they're lying about who they are. And then they're exposed, and now the woman has buyer's remorse, and she's angry because you misled her. So now, you might have smashed, but now she's looking at you like, oh, this guy's a liar. This guy took advantage of me. And then what happens if she wants to call the cops on you or something like that? So the dishonesty is not a good deal for anybody. it's just not a good deal.
Yeah, I try to tell him that. I'm like, dude, like, he's just like, no, I create the frame and I create the reality. I'm like, no,
yeah.
dude.
Anytime I hear somebody talking that pickup talk frame and IOIs, I go, all right, I get this. This is somebody who's studying this crap, who really doesn't believe that he's worthy of who he is. What you have, the only way you're going to be confident about what you do on a day-to-day basis is that you really got to be authentic about what you're doing.
100%. 100%.
And
Thank you so much for your help.
That doesn't mean you have to be monogamous either. You just got to be honest about the fact that you're not monogamous.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You could absolutely want to smash and dash, and here's what guys don't understand. Do you know there's women that just want to smash and dash too? You're nuts if you think that every woman that you talk to wants to have you as a what you call it, as their husband.
Girls have all different types of reasons for wanting to have sex. Don't think that you just got all this amazing game and shit. You could have just been at the right place at the right time.
and sometimes you're the victim. I've had situations where I was the victim. I remember showing up to a show and this girl was dressed in the same colors as I was. I didn't even know how she, like, I was mind boggled. I was like, what, dog, this idea of women being these pristine little angels, dog, they have desires and wants and desires, and they want what they want, and they gonna get it. And they don't want to marry you. Sometimes they don't think you're worthy of a relationship.
And a lot of times they know you're trying to game them, but they play along just because, like, hey,
if they like you,
I like.
If they like you, they will overlook the lies. But trust me, they see the lies every step of the way. They will overlook the red flags if they find you interesting. Man, tell your man to watch, because he's heading for not a good place, and he's going to dedicate all his time with these guys who, I mean, I've been to the conventions. I've been to the pickup artist conventions. I actually spoke at one, and those dudes are weirdos, man. They don't look you in the eye. They're weird dudes.
I told him I would pay for a session with you. So, look out for that email here in the next couple of days. All right, brother?
Y'all know how to get me. DanteNero.com. Click on consult, man. Dante, thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate you.
Take care, brother. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Phone lines are open. You know what it is. It's a weird thing, man. I mean, and I don't know too many guys who haven't read The Game or read Mystery's book or Mihao or all these guys. I mean, there's a whole cast of characters now that do the pickup artist stuff. The reality is, man, that there is no faking the truth. What doesn't come out in the wash comes out in the rinse. And if you're not the person that you say you are, trust me, they're gonna find out. People are gonna find out that you're not authentic. And when you get the level, if you allow, you can't allow emotion to have a seat at the table. Understand something. And I use analogies a lot, and I apologize if it gets on your nerves, people. But a boxer spars and he boxes so that he can get punched in the face and still maintain his composure. You have to engage in social situations to the point where even when somebody is negative, that you don't panic in your head and revert back to the fact of all of your childhood fears or your manhood fears about the fact that you're not good enough and all of the fears that you have. Because understand something, nobody, trust me, nobody is more insecure than a pretty woman. And this is why empathy is so important. If you got a super attractive woman, a model or whatever, she has been held up on a pedestal simply for her looks. If she is smart, nobody cares. She's just pretty. She's stunning. And in short, I'm not saying that there's not a benefit to that, but then when nobody takes you seriously, right? When the measure of your character is not even considered because you're a beautiful woman, right? Now, don't get me wrong. If you can get accustomed to that and you get used to that behavior and then you get arrogant, that absolutely happens also. But all of these, everybody gets older. And if all you got is your looks, trust me, as you get older and you age out, you're going to be an old broad with no personality and no charisma. So understand this. A lot of times you have super attractive women who don't get asked out to the prom or don't get asked because they're too attractive and men think they're automatically going to be they're going to reject them. So they won't even, a lot of times won't even get there, be the ones that be sitting home. And yeah, and then the guys who do hit on them are dudes who are unaware, have no self-awareness, and usually are just hitting on everything that they can hit on anyway. It's a numbers game for them. So I don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to create a scenario where we are just in a situation where we clearly go, pretty women have it so hard. I mean, we all have it hard, but I'm just saying everybody's situation is a little bit different. The only way that you get over the fear and the anxiety is by practice. You have to, it's what I call exposure therapy. If you're paying 5 women a compliment every day, non-sexual compliment, just the fact that you are forcing yourself to do something that you're not comfortable with makes you comfortable about it. Absolutely does. It's an impossibility that you can do it over and over and over and not get comfortable. And as you get comfortable, right, things change. Your perspective changes. Think about anybody who's listening right now. And I really hope that I'm earning your subscribing and your also my Cash App is up. Send me some money. But the fact that if you think about everybody who's listening, we all have our fear. We have the thing that we're most afraid of, the worst case scenario, and fear can be paralyzing. It will stop us from doing what we want to do. What's your name? Where you calling from, bro?
Yeah, Dante, this is Danny. I'm calling from Utah.
What's up, Daniel from Utah? How can I help you, brother?
So I just got out of a relationship.
Okay.
Literally just yesterday.
Wow. Okay.
Was with this chick for about 2.5 years. Can I swear on this or no? Is that not okay?
Can you what?
Can I swear on this?
Yeah, talk. I'm listening, bro.
All right. So this bitch was over yesterday.
Who broke it off? You or her?
Me. So she was over, left her phone unlocked. I saw on IG she had a conversation a couple of days ago on Wednesday. So 3-4 days ago, She was texting another dude. As soon as I saw that, I questioned her about it and I told her to get the fuck out of my house.
Okay.
Anyways, I broke it off. But after being in a relationship for that long, how do I get myself back out there and just kind of build my confidence back up? Okay,
first thing I want you to understand is what you're feeling right now is not something that's Xavier, thanks for sending me some money. Thank you for the $5. Xavier, Karina, thank you for the $5, bro. I appreciate you. But what I want to say is that what you're feeling, like if what we don't understand is a lot of times we don't really understand that we are primates, like we are animals, right? To a certain extent. I'm just like all animal kingdom. And we pair bond, right? So there's a situation where we get to a point where you're hanging around somebody for 2 years, right? You're sleeping with her. You know her smell. You know her taste. You know her touch. You know the tone of her voice. She becomes an intricate part of your life, just like you become an intricate part of hers. And so what you're feeling is actually a chemical reaction to the fact that you have been programmed to be open to her and to want and long for her and that you're just comfortable with her. You understand that? So it doesn't even necessarily she has to be, she's the greatest girlfriend or any of that. Doesn't even have to mean that you're so into her or the relationship was good. Just through repetition and the level of comfort that we get, you can start to pair bond and you feel comfortable, so that when you eliminate that person, you feel these things, right? So I'm gonna tell you something. It's the best way to get over somebody is to get underneath somebody else, right? And I used to say this all the time. Getting over your girl is 5 booties away, right? Understand this. The first time you sleep with somebody, it's going to be awkward because you're so accustomed to the person that you with. The second time it comes around, you're going to be, it's going to feel a little bit better. The third time it's going to feel even a little bit more. And
then being honest as well, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I think another reason for me why it's so hard is because I'm not the greatest when it comes to getting women, as far as on social media.
Hold on one second. Owen Isaacs, thank you for the $10 on PayPal. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah. So you said you're not on social media.
I am on social media, but as far as like being good with women, I'm not very good with getting women on social media. My past relationships.
Did you listen to? Were you listening to the first guy I called? The guy who was 34 years old.
Yeah.
All right, so
really
understand something. If you haven't had the practice, how could you be good at it? And even if you're out there plugging, right, you're trying to get it right. If you don't have the guidance of somebody to show you when you made the mistakes, where you didn't, where you made the mistakes, where you didn't make the mistakes, how can you hold yourself responsible or feel guilty about something that you've never been taught? Do you understand how absurd that is?
Yeah. It's such a high standard for men. It's a lot of pressure for us. But I completely understand where you're coming from. And
we put the pressure on ourselves. A lot of times, nobody else is putting that pressure. We're putting it on ourselves, and then when we fail, then we beat ourselves up. None of that helps the situation. I've said this, so I'm telling you. I don't know if you've been listening to the content or recently or just started, but there's never a situation where I just had a dude who, guys who have done consultations with me, it changes their life. And I mean, changes their life from the first call. Now, I'm not saying that the process, let me put it like this. The process is easy, but it's, how do I put it? It's simple, but it's not easy. Meaning you have to overcome your fears. You have to confront your fears. Understand something, that bravery doesn't exist without fear. If you're not afraid of something, then you being brave about something is just not something that you're not being brave because you're not afraid of it. The only time that you're truly brave is when you're doing something that you're already afraid of, right? So, but I have it's funny because I want to read this real quick. So somebody, one of my clients put in Chat GPT, right? And I want to read to you what the computer, I guess they've compiled some information from all the content that I put up throughout the years. It goes, ChatGPT analysis of the 5 bricks. It says Dante's build the 5 bricks concept is rooted in several psychological and social principles that make it particularly effective exercise for personal growth and improving interactions with women. Here's why it works. Now I didn't write this. This is ChatGPT. Rewiring your brain for non-transactional interactions. Many men, especially those seeking relationships, unconsciously approach interactions with women through a transactional lens. What can I get from this? This creates pressure both on themselves and the women that they interact with. By practicing giving honest compliments without expecting anything in return, not even a thank you. You train your brain to focus on the act of giving rather than receiving. The shift makes your interactions more genuine, disarming, and pleasant for everyone involved. Building social momentum, compliments are small acts of courage. By consistently giving them, you're breaking down any fear or hesitation you might have by approaching women. Over time, this builds social confidence and momentum, making future interactions more natural and effortless. It also normalizes interactions, a variety of women, different ages, settings, and types. So your brain no longer treats each encounter as a high-stakes special situation. Honest compliments require you to present in the moment and observant. You can't give a meaningful compliment without noticing something about the person, whether it's her style, her energy, and how they carry themselves. This is a whole thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that's how you build the confidence. It's the way I came up with this was I had a guy call me up and said, like, how do you build confidence? And it was something that I had to, it was a question that somebody asked me that I was honestly just trying to answer for and I had to go in myself and kind of realize what gives me the confidence that I have. And the confidence that I have is because I've been down this road so many times that it just doesn't scare me anymore. Amongst other things. And then it's such a small little activity that is so life-changing because it's something that you never experience. So I think in order to get back, you gotta start laying the 5 bricks. It cures everything. It builds your confidence. But you gotta not do that. Say this again.
You think it's too soon to start doing that, or should I kind of just lay off right now?
No, why would you lay off?
I guess you're right. Yeah.
Huh?
I guess you're right. Why stop? No, but I was just kind of thinking, like, if it was too early to immediately jump back into it.
I get the question, but why would you think it's too early?
I guess because it's kind of hurtful right now.
Yeah, but understand something, bro. There's nobody on this call, on this live, who hasn't been in your position. And I understand. I'm not belittling this or moving past this as if it's not important. What I'm saying to you is, how old are you? Let me ask you that. 23. Okay, so yeah. I'm 58, right? I say this all the time. I have seen more sunsets than I'm going to see. Meaning, I am coasting on the way out, right? And I'm aware of that. What I'm saying to you is there is no time is the commodity, and everybody's life is finite. Why would you not spend the most amount of time enjoying life when you have an opportunity to? And I understand that you're 23, so it feels like life is never going to end, but it does. It ends. I mean, I'm quite sure you've had people who have passed away in your life. Life ends, and you don't have time to waste. But understand something. You have to embrace life in its entirety, meaning when you're laying the 5 bricks, I mean, at first you're not looking for a response anyway, but when you get to the higher phases of laying the 5 bricks, and you're interacting with, enjoy those interactions, because every one of those interactions makes you better. It makes you more able to deal. No reason to stop and waste time not living your life, because whether the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking to your death. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to be morbid about that, but the clock is ticking. Why would you waste any time in any situation with this? You move forward, step forward. And I promise you, if you step forward, it all gets easy. Is this your first girlfriend?
And this is actually my second one. I've had 2 serious relationships. So
okay, so what about your first one? You still opining over the first one?
Oh no. First I was crying like a little bitch.
Yeah.
But no, I got over that.
Okay, so what I'm saying, you'll get over this one too.
Yeah.
You know, I got over my first wife. You know.
Yeah, just that initial, those initial couple of days are a little rough, but
yeah, I get it.
Dante.
But that's why it's important for you to get back on the horse and get out there and find somebody who understands what, and don't feel bad about the fact that she was stepping out. She was just like I always say, if somebody's going to cheat on me, I want them to cheat on me immediately, because I don't want to waste time on somebody that is not worth my time in the first place. So if somebody's deceptive, you should welcome that. You should welcome her cheating on you, because you have to understand who she is as the person. The fact that she doesn't have accountability, the fact that she's a liar, the fact that she's untrustworthy. You want to know that as quickly as possible. You do not want to marry somebody, have kids, and then find out later that they are untrustworthy and liars and they're misrepresenting yourself. Yeah, you should hope that somebody cheats on you as quickly as possible. And when you understand what your value is, right? You move on, because it was my bad. It's like, you ever buy something from a store, bring it home, try it on, and it don't fit?
Yeah.
You don't cry about it. You just take it back and exchange it for a different size.
Oh, yeah. So, and then that's one thing too. When I originally met this girl, I knew she was a hoe. I knew she was a hoe since day one, and I always told her too, like, if it comes to cheating, like, you know what you're doing, it is what it is, type of shit. But I knew it since day one, so I can't ponder too much. I'm not so upset about it. I'm more so a little bit mad than sad, but yeah, that's female nature right there.
But it's also you're mad at yourself more than anything. If you knew who she was and you allowed this, you're mad at yourself. But what are we gonna do about that? We gotta make better decisions. We gotta make better decisions, right?
And then how does the 5 bricks relate to social media? Is that strictly like on social interactions, or
no? You have to speak to somebody. You have to actually talk to somebody. But you're not gonna play. It's not gonna be a sec. So I mean, it's a little more involved than I've talked about it a lot, but it's involved. Just book a session, and I'll explain it to you and detail it to you, and then we'll go through it, and I'll explain any questions you have. Go to DanteNero.com, click on consult, and I'll put you through the situation. I'll put you through the system. I can't tell you how many thousands of guys I've helped with this. If you listen to, have you been listening to the content for a while?
I'm in it with Black Phillip. It's been a long time.
All right. So what I'm saying, if you know, even if you're listening to the lives, you're on the live, somebody calls in that I've consulted with, and I don't think we've ever had somebody call up and say, I consulted with you and it didn't help me at all. I don't think, I don't recall. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, anybody who's in the chat, anybody who is, who's in the chat, you can correct me if you ever heard somebody not say that I helped him. Hey, listen, and yes, Robert, this pickup stuff works, but ultimately you fall on your face afterwards, because you're being you're being dishonest about who you are. So yeah, get back in the game, or book a session, man. I'll help you out. This is an easy fix. I mean, if you're in a funky situation, then what I will say real quick, you have to pay a compliment to 5 women a day, every day, women who of different array, different, younger, older, ones that you find attractive. You're going to compliment something that's non-sexual, and it has to be an honest compliment. You're not trying to get the number. You're not trying to engage. You're not even trying to get a thank you from them. You're just stepping up and practicing being more social. You understand? That's the first step. And then there's nuances of that afterwards. But that's where I would start. Okay? Man, I want to say I'm sorry you're going through this, bro. I'm sorry you're going through this, but I mean, it might be a blessing in disguise, because this hopefully this will change your life, man.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, appreciate it, Dante. Keep killing them, man.
All right, brother. I'll speak to you soon.
All right, dude. Right.
Yeah. You know, the breakup is always so hard. It's so hard to deal with because of the fact that that initial dump of emotion, because you're so accustomed to being with somebody and then you're not. And that really is hard to deal with. Phone lines are open, 929-269. We are an hour and a half in. I'm getting ready to shut this down. If I get another call real quick, I will do that. Otherwise, we're going to shut it down. I just want to keep in mind, let me just put everything up real quick. Let's see. Y'all know the numbers, 929-269-4922. The Patreon, if you want to support, if I've earned your respect and I've earned your help, please support us on the Patreon. It's at Manschool202, www.patreon.com/Manschool202. It really helps me continue to do this and put this content out. It is a testimony of your credibility when you sign up and if you enjoy the content and you want to support it, that's a great way to support it. The other thing is, if you have something specifically, I'll always, the Cash App is always up, that's always up. And the one-on-one consultations, DanteNero.com, DanteNero.com. Click on consult. You can book a session with me and we can fix it, whatever it is. I mean, I haven't come into a situation where I couldn't fix it. And even some of the people that I've had a harder, rougher time, I've always been able to move the needle forward so that we can, that you can actually find out what your destination is, what your life, what you want your life to look like, what you want your happiness to be. It's really, I always say it's difficult, but it's simple. It's simple, but it's difficult. And it's not difficult to execute because I break it down into small increments so it's easy to digest. But the problem is that you have to overcome the fear. And the only way you're going to get good at something is you got to suck at it first. And so you got to make up your mind that you're going to suck and then and then go through it. Let me see real quick. Let's see. Let me shout some people out real quick that's in the chat. Shout out to Xavier, Dwight, Christian, what's going on? Robert Spindletree, Spirit to Might, what's going on? Let me see. Username for me talk 3Ns. You played yourself in the building always. Let's see who else is in here. Just shout out to all the regulars. If I missed anybody, I'll get you next week. Let's shut it down. I really appreciate y'all listening. I always have a good time and just really appreciate I'm sorry. Somebody called and I had the phones off. I'm gonna give you a few minutes to do this call. The phone lines are open. Let me put the lines up real quick so you can call. I'm sorry, I forgot to unmute the phone. I'll give you a few minutes. 929-269-4922. Call back. We'll do this last call. I'll give you a few minutes. Again, please, I hope that I earned your like, subscribe, share, comment. Tell a friend, please. Tell a friend. I really appreciate y'all. I appreciate you coming. I'm really enjoying these Sundays with my peeps. I think we're going to shut it down. I'm not getting a call. So, real quick, thank y'all all. GYBB, get your balls back. WWDD, What Would Dante Do? The Sexual Revolution is being podcasted. TikTok, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everybody that tuned in on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, X. I really appreciate y'all. Don't forget, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. I love y'all, man. Peace. We out of here. Wait, hold on. Yeah, I'm waiting for you. I'm gonna take this last call. We're gonna take this last call. I promised. Yo, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace, yo. This is Tony Crane.
What up, Tony? How you doing?
I'm good, Dante. What's poppin', man?
Where you calling from?
Yo, I'm calling from Delaware.
Okay.
I'm actually from the Bronx, New York.
Okay. Wait, okay. Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay. How can I help you, bro? I want you to know, I want you to know I was getting ready to shut it down, so I held off for your call. So what's going on?
I know. I appreciate it. Yo, look, I'm just giving you your flowers, fam. Let me tell you something. I listen to the Black Phillip Show every fucking day, bro. I listen to it every day. I've been listening to it every day for like 3 years. Okay? You and Patrice got me out of a depression that I was in for 12 years.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? My wife cheated on me. You know what I'm saying? Like 14 years ago, I took my son, raised him by myself.
Beautiful.
I'm still going. I'm still married because I haven't gotten divorced yet, but that's financial reasons.
Yeah,
I just want to give you your flowers, man, and thank you, bro.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man. Thanks for calling in, bro. You made me happy that I halted shutting the show down because you called in. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you so much.
Appreciate you. Yo, Tony Crane with a K, man. Check my music out. It's on every platform. Tony Crane, baby.
All right, family.
Peace,
all right,
brother. Peace.
All right, love. One more time, GYBB, get your balls back. WWDD, What Would Dante Do? The Sexual Revolutions being podcasted. Yo, love y'all, man. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. All of that stuff is super important. And if you see somebody that's in trouble, man, send them my content, man. It's gotta help. You know, it's gotta help. Peace. We out of here. I love y'all, man. TikTok, thank y'all so much for checking me out. This is the first time that I'm going live on y'all. I really appreciate y'all, man. Love. Thank you. Thank you so much.